Hey. So I'm back to start to kind of unpack that list that I posted in the last video of 100 ways that I've seen God be faithful. And I thought I would start with some of the stories of our past, and I hope that maybe it will encourage you. I think this will probably be more than one video. I'll probably have to do it in a series because these stories are not short. But I'll start with kind of the first one that started it all. Okay, so a little bit of backstory. We are coming up on, which is insane to me, the 10-year anniversary of our house flooding, which will be in August 2026, will be 10 years. And we kind of joke, right? Joke is not the right word, but before that, if I was to tell you, I would say that my life was pretty easy. I would say God has been kind and we always walked together. I would even say he was like my boyfriend. Like we were very close. And I just thought that my biggest trials were maybe, relationships with other people or, really colicky babies, which were all very hard things, right? But then, okay, so I'll give you the story. I grew up in Texas, and after living there for 10 years, married to my husband, and we had 4 kids at the time, we felt just this huge pull to leave. And my husband and I had met through a mission organization and have always had a humongous heart for the lost and for evangelism and for missions. And an opportunity came up to move back to his hometown in Louisiana, where his friends had planted a church, and they were really wanting someone to come and help with the missions there at the church. We literally felt like God threw this in our lap. So after lots of prayer, lots of crying, we packed up our little family and moved to Louisiana. And we moved in with my in-laws in 1,400 square feet with 4 kids and lived there while trying to find a house. And even just that, I remember thinking, this has got to be as bad as it gets. Living in this tiny house, homeschooling, I remember thinking that was such a hard trial. And during that summer, God had really put it on my heart, and a friend and I had studied the book of Job. Don't go studying hard books of the Bible if you don't want them to become applicable. Not really. It's not like a trick. But I just remember thinking, oh, this is good for someone else. I was very naive. Studied the book of Job, and during that time, we bought a house. We loved it. It was on 3 acres, and it was kind of a fixer-upper. But we saw all the potential of this house to be able to have people over and to be able to host, and all these wonderful things. We even bought a dog, and 2 cats. Like we were in it, And I remember the night before that it had rained really hard, and some water had come into our back room, maybe like this much. And we're mopping it up and thinking, this is crazy that there's water coming in, but we're good. And so we got all that cleaned up. My kids even played in the front yard in the rain. Like I have pictures and videos of them out splashing in the rain the night before. And so I remember my husband and I, going to bed, and I don't even remember. It's funny how memories are kind of hazy when things are a long time away. But I remember us going to bed, and I think he says it was like around 4. In my brain, it was closer to 2. But sometime in the middle of the night, it was raining fairly hard, and we are not ones that were real keen on listening to the weather radar. And we got an alert that there was some, kind of some flash flooding. And I remember we're in bed, and my husband leans down and touches out of the bed and touches the floor. And he's like, I'm almost positive if I'm remembering exactly. Remember, we woke up in the middle of the night, and it was definitely the Lord. And went out into the living room, and you could see water starting to come in through our front door. And when you're in a situation like that, so we were kind of it was a little bit slanted how our house was. And so when you're in that situation, I think you think you're going to think logically, but you don't, right? And so we see the water coming in. So I remember taking stacks of my books and putting it on the fireplace stairs, which were like this tall. Or I'm taking things that are important and putting them on the kitchen table. You're not thinking, I need to move these things higher or wrap them in bags. You're just thinking, I need to get these things picked up. So at that point, it was still the middle of the night, and water is starting to come in, and all of our kids are still sleeping. And then our 3 boys were all in a room. And we go and get them, and water is coming into their room. Like, it was very obvious that water was coming into the room. So we wake them up, and there's, there's like toys, we're homeschool kid, family of 4. There's toys floating, in their bedroom. We're waking them up. And you're not thinking, oh, grab everything that's important to you or sentimental. Your thought is to get out of here, right? So we get them, and then we go wake up my daughter, who was 2, and I just remember distinctly all of her little toys. There was this layer of water that were just like floating on the floor. And so we get her, and as we start grabbing stuff, I remember the only things I remember to grab was a couple backpacks and their Kindles, because I'm thinking, oh, they need something to do at 4 a.m. in the morning. And I grabbed my Bible. I think everybody grabbed a pillow, and we start going outside. Well, it starts coming in really quickly. Like, it is probably at that point when we started walking, it was getting to my knees. So we walk towards my husband's car, and you can't even open the doors. It has started to come up to the doors of the car. And so immediately he's like, we've got to move the other car. So I had a minivan at the time. So we just on like perfect timing before it started to get higher, he backed the van up to the road that was up higher. And I remember carrying my daughter on my back. My husband had our youngest son. So our youngest daughter was 2, and then they were 2, 4, 6, and 8. So he carried our 4-year-old, and our other 2 waded through the water, and we put them in the van. And as the water is still coming in, you're still thinking, I've got to grab some stuff. And then you start thinking again, you're not quite logical, but you're thinking, I have to grab some stuff. This is going to all get wet. I did try to put some more things up higher, things like that. But eventually it started coming in really quick where we realized we had to leave. And so we got everybody in the van. And I'm going to pause there, and I will fill you in what happened next.